strut in like I'm famous or something. Hey, how's it going? Is that what famous people do? They strut. It's 2024. What the fuck? So anyway, there's just another date on my calendar that I gotta remember, which is really annoying. It used to be great in the years when you'd finish school, so you didn't have to write dates on your book anymore. Because then eventually dates would blend together and it wouldn't really matter anymore. But now I have to write dates at work. It's really, really annoying because we got to like check off items and stuff. Or if a customer comes by to pick up something, we have to write down, oh, they picked it up at this time on this date. And I have to remember what the date is and what the time is and what the year is. Actually, I don't need to use the year for that, do I? I just use the month. It depends. Who cares? Anyway, talking about Jan. I've already watched a selection of films this year. It is currently the 17th that I'm filming, so the rest of it will be filmed later. So let's dive into it. I started the year by watching A Woman Kills. I got like 8 minutes into it last year because I was watching it with my partner, but then it was like French avant-garde, and we're like, you know what, we've only got 50 minutes before we have to leave. Maybe we won't watch French avant-garde. That goes for 69 minutes. Let's watch Bob's Burgers instead. So we did that. Anyway, I watched A Woman Kills. This is from the Radiance Blu-ray. I did not watch any of the special features that are on it, unfortunately. They've got a slew of special features, including commentaries and short films at the wazoo, because the guy only made like 1 or 2 features and a bunch of short films. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty good. It's a very interesting style. It's got weird audio things that jump back and forth. I had headphones on when I watched it for the second half of for the hour of the film I watched. Interesting film. Worth checking out as a Radiance Films purchase, that's for sure. I know, to start my year with a French avant-garde 1968 film that was basically buried for 50 years. How crazy is that? Anyway, 50 years? Yeah. The next up we have Renfield. My dad has the Blu-ray because I got it, did I get it for him? No, I got my partner to get it for him for Christmas. And I gave it 3.5 stars. I actually surprisingly liked it. I wasn't expecting to like it because the trailers made it look like absolute dog shit. It was a bizarre thing. I just enjoyed it. I know it's still got the shitty Awkwafina stuff, and she's funny for the first 5 to 10 minutes that she's in, and then the rest of the movie she's not funny. She has her moments, but then they clearly have the obvious, oh, she's done improv here, we've got to keep doing the improv there. And I'm like, no, you don't. Just write a funny script. How hard is it? I liked Ben Schwartz in it. He was fun. He just sounded like Sonic the whole time, so it was really amusing. I enjoyed Nick Cage. He was great as Dracula. He was in a lot more of it than I expected because I'd been told he was only in like 5 minutes of the movie. He's not. He's in a plenitude of the movie. It actually is interesting to watch Nicholas Hoult in it, and this is obviously the unrated version, so a lot more blood and gore. And yeah, Nicholas Hoult was really fun. It's colourful, it's fun, it's zany. They cut out a whole musical number, which I discovered because I have the Blu-ray. A lot of scenes cut out. There was a sister to the main villain, a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of crazy what they cut out of the movie. But as an overall, I still enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was an interesting, just film. I thought it was fun. It's stupid. It's really stupid. Like, it's one of those you can fucking point all the goddamn plot holes in it, or all the inconsistencies, all the obvious, oh, they've added CGI blood here, so that's why there's no blood there in the next scene or whatever. So it's not a perfect picture, but I had fun, and that's what's worth counting. Yeah. Then I watched Lethal Weapon 2. Did I mention I was watching the Lethal Weapon films? I watched Lethal Weapon 2 because I got the Blu-ray set. I was like, I've had a Blu-ray set for years. I got to watch these films. Turns out I have definitely watched the first 2. I didn't remember the first one except for the first 10 or so minutes, and I didn't care that much for it. The second one, on the other hand, I gave 4.5 stars. I fucking adored it. I loved watching it, every minute of it. I was like, this is the best fucking thing in the world. It's so crazy and stupid and clearly, like, mashed to hell in post-production because they've obviously, like, reshot a bunch of stuff because the Mel Gibson's mullet keeps changing in length. But they've got great gags, they've got great set pieces. It's just a lot of fun. I've definitely seen this one before. I was watching it, and every minute that I was watching it, I'm like thinking, I've seen this before, and I don't mind because I'm enjoying it. So yeah, I was surprised by that one. I did actually quite enjoy that one a lot more. It's fun that they're all Richard Donner films as well. So this one had, I think Shane Black co-wrote the script, or he wrote the story for it, but he didn't write the script. And then he had like only producing credits for the next two films, which is funny. So talking about the next two films, I watched Lethal Weapon 3. I thought it was alright. I gave it 3 stars. I loved Pesci in the second movie. I didn't realize he came in the second movie because I knew I'd seen him in one of the films before, and I was like, I thought he was in the third one onwards, and it turns out, yeah, because he's characters on the poster of the third one. I guess it's like, oh, this is a foreboding thing. If you didn't like Pesci, you won't like this movie. If you did like Pesci, you'll love this movie, but you'll hate that he's only in it for like 10 minutes. And I gotta be honest, I hated that he was in the third one. I loved him in the second film. I thought he was really funny. I thought his character was a great, like, Three Stooges addition. Because they have that. They have a visual, like, homage to the Three Stooges. It all works. There is no reason for his character to be in the third one. His character is ridiculous and unnecessary and unfunny and annoying. And I hated that he was there. Sure, he's got bleached hair, whatever. But this one didn't really do it for me. I didn't really care much for this one at all. I liked the love interest for... Is it Mac? Is that... No, I'm thinking of... I'm so used to the Lethal Weapon sketches from Always Sunny that I forget what the main character's name is. Martin? His name is Martin? They call him Riggs. Renee Russo as Lorna Cole. She was great. I really liked her. She was a great addition. But yeah, Pesci, not great. I said the last 45 minutes is pretty fun and makes the film worth watching, especially the final action set piece. But the rest of it is kind of meh. It takes too long to warm up. When it finally does, it's like the first hour is over and you're like, that was kind of okay. But in the second half, it's like, oh, this is fun. The second half of the third and fourth movies are the same, where they're fun in the second half but boring in the first half, and usually quite annoying in the first half. So, of course, Lethal Weapon 4, I gave it 3 stars as well. I feel the exact same way about it as the third film. It's probably the weaker of the films anyway, especially because, like, Renee Russo was reduced to just, she's the pregnant girlfriend, and that's about it. You know, Pesci's still there, but now I've got Chris Rock as well, who's like Proto-Spiral, which is really funny. He's not funny in the movie, but Proto-Spiral, which is funny. It's just okay. I like Jet Li in it. I like the fight scene at the end with Jet Li. Like, it's really, like, subdued. It's not over the top and explosive, which I really like. It closes off the films pretty well. I mean, they all tried to close off the films pretty well. Again, like, the second one's like, I'm retiring. And at the end of the film, he's like... Actually, no, it's at the end credit scene, the post-credits. He's like, actually, I'm not retiring. Was that the third film that he was meant to retire? Shit, I think it was. I don't know, I think the third film was the one that started with the building exploding, and then you watch the post-credit scene, and then another building explodes. In one of them, he wants to retire, but clearly he doesn't. I'm pretty sure that's the second one. And, no, I don't think so. I think that's the third one. And then the fourth one, yeah, they just have a grandkid and a kid each. Oh, wow, look, happiness. And I guess there's meant to be a fifth one eventually. I don't know, who cares? They're fine. They're really just generic kind of detective action films, and honestly, there are a lot of better films in that genre. Lethal Weapon 2 is still a hell of a lot of fun. If you like Pesci, you'll love it. If you don't like Pesci, you'll hate the film. He's a make-or-break moment for it. But, yeah. I just didn't like him in the sequels. I didn't like him at all in the sequels. But then I watched, on binge, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. God, the guy who obviously made that up was like, hey, here's a tongue twister for you. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It was a joy. I watched it on my laptop because my brother and his girlfriend were watching, like, I think The Naked Gun or something in here. And, they were watching, they had already done it the week before. They were watching Sky High. But yeah, so I just put it on because it was like on binge, and I'm like, I wanted to watch this when it came out, but I never got around to it. And I have no thoughts on the movie. Sure, there's a bit of, like, predictability with the narrative and where it'll go, but boy, that emotion really still hits, especially when you get through the really emotional, heartfelt scene, and halfway through it, the film stops because it's lagging, and it has to render. Fuck you, streaming. Streaming's not fun, but worth watching. Brilliant film. And then on the Friday, on the 5th, I watched Ferrari. 4 stars. I probably might give it 3.5 stars next time, but the drama and the acting was superb, and carried the first half a lot. On rewatch, I think I might have enjoyed a lot more, because there's a lot of names thrown out there that even my dad recognizes like established drivers, but I'm like, I don't know any of this shit. I watched Ford v Ferrari a couple of years ago. I'm watching this because it's a Michael Mann film. I don't know anything about this guy, and I like how it took place just in like 1 year of his life after a big turmoil, but then as another turmoil approaches, it has a really shocking scene in it as well that, sure, I think a lot of people thought was goofy because of the CGI, but I'm like, yeah, but the impact really landed. It's just good. It ends a lot quicker than I expected it to. For a 2-hour film, actually I think it's like 2.5 hours, but like, when it ends, I was like, oh my god, I thought there was like another hour to go. It just ends. It's bizarre. But yeah, good film. And my boy Enzo, he up there. On the 6th, I watched Man on Fire, because I got the Blu-ray at the end of last year, and I figured, sure, I haven't watched that many Tony Scott films. I gave it 4 stars. It was a lot different to what I expected, because I didn't know. I knew it was a kidnapping film, and I was waiting for the girl to get kidnapped early on, but then it's like, no, the whole first hour of this like 2 hour and 10 minute long film is just setting up the characters and just having them hang out, have a relationship build, and then she gets kidnapped after the first hour is done, and you're like, oh my god. And then the rest of it's just like action and craziness, and it's good. I like the editing style. It's got a fun buzz to it. Tony Scott just had a way about him, didn't he? Then the 8th, I watched Wonka. I actually got a free ticket to see it, which was great, at the Nova, because I had a free Monday pass, and I never got around to using it, and then I got permanent part-time, and I took my first permanent part-time day off, half of the day, to go watch Wonka in the city. I watched with my partner. I gave it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. It's fun for what it is. Like, Paul King's a good director, Chalamet is surprisingly good at singing, and the choreography was fun, the dancing, all that stuff. The story was just bland and predictable as hell. Like, I didn't care for it that much. It was like, I was actually okay with the fact that we were surrounded by families and they had kids who had to keep going to the bathroom and stuff. And it didn't annoy me. Like, I was just like, I'm watching this movie for free. I don't really care. Like, it saves me having to buy the physical at all, because I don't think I'll probably watch this film again. I still gave it a like, but I'm like, I enjoyed it. I just don't really care for it. But, sure, whatever. I didn't really need a Wonka backstory, but whatever. And then on the 9th, I did a double feature of 2 4K restorations. I watched Existence, the Cronenberg, which, go check out my Anatomy of a Blu-ray. I did a whole unboxing of the limited edition set. It is a stunning transfer, and it is a really interesting film. I gave it 4 stars. I had never seen it before. I was meant to finish it. I was meant to watch it last year to add more to my Cronenberg list, but now I've only got a few more of his left to go. And I liked it. I thought it was very good. And I watched Barbarella, did the Arrow Video 4K again, and Anatomy of a Blu-ray is already out for that. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's a film I've enjoyed before, and I don't think it's any better than a 3.5 star film, because like the plot-wise is just so minimal, but it's all about the vibes and just enjoying it, because I know a lot of people criticize it for its like lack of plot, but I'm like, the plot's set up in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the film, where the president of space tells Barbarella while she's in the nude, go save this guy. That's it. That's the plot. Not much else to it. Yeah, no, I thought it was fun. Transfer's fantastic. Dolby Atmos mix, beautiful. Go check out my video talking about the whole thing. And then I started my Manhunt. I watched Thief, the Arrow Video version, 4K Director's Cut, 4.5 stars, loved it. I've seen it before on the Criterion Channel, but I had to rewatch it because I'm watching all the Michael Mann films now, because Ferrari is done, now I've got to watch the rest of them. Then I followed it up with Manhunter. I gave it 5 stars. I gave it like 3.5 stars last time, and this time I was like, this time it worked for me. I watched the theatrical cut, not the director's cut, despite my Blu-ray having both cuts, not the Scream Factory, but the British release. But still, I was very happy with it. Beautiful film, absolutely love it. So far, my favourite of his. Yeah. Then I watched Saltburn with my partner. Gave it 3 stars. I gave it a like. It's not as crazy as people were saying. Like, I'd heard that it was so crazy, and I got a lot of anxiety from that, but then I saw it, and I'm like, oh, he just does some slurping. Okay, that's fine. Like, I found that stuff to be really funny. But then after the first hour was over, and after he, like, changes, after that scene with the sister, I was just like, the rest of the movie was really boring to me after that, and then it just got more and more boring, and then it tried to make itself all convoluted and like all plot twists and character twists. I'm like, I don't give a shit about any of this stuff. They still have a final gag, which is funny. The final scene is fun, I guess, sure, but the rest of the movie, outside of visually looking great, didn't care much for it. I gave it 3 stars. I still liked it. I enjoyed it because I liked the dark comedy of the first hour. I thought it was very funny. But it's so long. It doesn't need to be that long. Really long movie. Then I watched The Jericho Mile on YouTube because it's up there. It's a made-for-TV movie by Michael Mann. It was his first feature-length film, but it wasn't his first theatrical film. Obviously, that was Thief. I thought it was fun. I gave it 3 stars. Gave it a like. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a straightforward story. Interesting, compelling characters. Pretty good. Don't know what else to say about it, but I'll hopefully do a whole, maybe director review for Michael Mann. Because I followed it up with The Keep, which I gave 3.5 stars. I watched the DVD version I have because from Viavision, because I watched on the Criterion Channel last time. I gave it 4 stars last time. I gave it 3.5 this time. I just didn't dig it as much as I did. I think because I really liked the vibe and everything of it last time because it was all brand new to me, and that allows the lack of a narrative to flow over you better. But this time around, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of narrative that's just missing from this movie. It's something that will never be fixed. We'll never get that narrative back. So what we've got, I still really like. I love the production design and the cast. It's like slow and beautiful. Then it's really quick, and then it's slow again. Then it's really, really quick, and then it's like everything happens. And it's just too messy, you know. For like 96 minutes, it's ridiculously quick. Then I watched Last of the Mohicans, the definitive director's cut. I gave it 2.5 stars. Didn't care that much for it. It's still a beautiful film. It's well shot, well acted, well directed. But as a narrative feature, I'm like, I don't really care. None of this shit interests me. It doesn't interest me to see a story about natives with the main character being a white guy. I get it, he was adopted into the family and whatever, but I'm like, yeah. But then I watched LA Takedown, which I gave 3 stars. That was also on YouTube, actually. That was really fun. It's obviously proto-Heat, so if you've seen Heat, you'll be like, oh, I've seen this movie before, but it's 95 minutes instead, and it's a TV movie. I'm gonna watch Heat, today or tomorrow, so, yeah. But, yeah, it's an interesting film. Not really much to talk about it, because it's on YouTube for free, and it is just Heat, but worse, you know? Noteworthy TV show stuff. I did finish watching For All Mankind Season 4. I really liked it. It's not my favourite season, but I think what it does is really effective for the show's overarching narrative. It's a lot slower, but it focuses its areas and ideas more on the underground struggles rather than the race for Mars and fight for Mars and the moon and stuff. So I think what it does narrative-wise, it does well. I'm hoping that next season kicks off with a lot more energy, though, because I think we've built up to that. We've had our first 3 seasons, which was slow and building, and then get more energetic per season. Season 3 was chaotic and bombastic, and I loved it. I was down for it every episode, but this one was more tense, nail-biting, but also kind of casual as well. But it was good. I mean, look, Apple TV, they just have good shows. What can I say? But then they also had that Monarch show, which I also finished watching. I watched the first 4 episodes as they came out, because that was 3 weeks worth of TV, because the first 2 were on one day, and then the next 2 weeks was 1 episode each. I got bored after the 4th episode. I was like, I can't be fucked watching this show. My dad ended up watching it, and he watched the whole thing, and he's like, actually, it's really fun. And I was like, alright, sure. I binged watched it all over 2 days, which is definitely the best way to have watched it, because the last 2 episodes I watched on the last day, but the other 4 I watched one after one, because it's not a perfect show. I still gave it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it, but it's one of those things where it's it has a lot of slow periods and boring patches. I think it's jumping between the characters in 2 different timelines kind of upsets it a bit, because you're trying to be connected to one group of characters, but then suddenly you're thrown into with the other group of characters, and they have no connection outside of one guy who hasn't shown up yet, and blood ties. So it's and a lot of that is few and far between. It does round out quite nicely halfway by the time you get throughout the first half of the season, it starts really punching up, and you get rid of all the exposition crap, and you start jumping into it. And it pays it off in the last 3 episodes. So it's for a 10-episode miniseries, for a 10-episode season 1. It does a good enough job, but it's like, yeah, I would have just preferred watching a bunch of guys chase down monsters and shit. Like, that would have been a lot more interesting than what we got. But, you know, it still looks good, like, visually, like, CGI and all that stuff for it being a MonsterVerse show. And clearly it feels like a show that should have come out prior to Godzilla vs. Kong, but obviously they were focusing on the movies because they were doing Godzilla vs. Kong and King of the Monsters back to back, and King of the Monsters didn't pay off as well. So when they were still already filming, already in production for Godzilla vs. Kong, they're like, hey, well, we'll finish this off, see if it does well. It does amazingly at the box office, and they're like, alright, what else do we have? So, hence they greenlit further projects with Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, and of course, this show, which is set between seasons, set between Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters. So yeah. Yeah. And also has touches of, like, Kong Skull Island or whatever. You know, it's funny, they actually announced that, the Astor announced that they were showing a bunch of Michael Mann films over the next, like, month and a bit, at the end of this current week that I'm filming. Actually, literally the start of February, I think it is. Is it the start of Feb? Yeah, the 1st of Feb. They're showing Thief and Manhunter, so this video wouldn't have come out by then, I don't think. I don't know if I'll have the time to edit it and release it within that time. I'm very busy, because I've got The Force of Nature, The Dry 2 on Friday, so sometime in this video I'm going to mention that I've watched The Dry, because I haven't seen it yet, and I've had the Blu-ray sitting here for like 2 weeks now. Anyway, it's the 30th that I'm filming, so yeah. Anyway, let's just round this out, shall we? So on the 17th, I watched Heat. You know, I gotta admit, I'm not a really big... I'm kidding, I gave it 5 stars. I have no criticisms. I'm like, you know, I really like this movie. My disappointment comes from the fact that I had imported the 4K, and I know that everyone's like, oh, the 4K, it looks too dark and whatever this shit. It's like, yeah, but on an OLED it looks great, and I watched it at night. It was great. The fact that it's almost 3 hours long is ridiculous. The fact that I watched LA Takedown the day before, and I'm like, oh my god, like, LA Takedown is just Heat, but bad. And then you watch Heat and you're like, oh my god, this is so much better than LA Takedown, but so much longer. I didn't know it was 3 hours. I thought it was like 2 hours. So, that was a great choice. Actually, it was alright, because it was on the kind of day when, like, most people weren't really in the house, like, you know, so I didn't have... The loud noises from the shooting didn't disrupt anyone. But I did watch the 4K disc. I liked the 4K transfer, actually. I do have the old Australian edition, which does come with the Blu-ray discs and everything, but my 4K comes with the Blu-ray disc, because it's imported. The problem is that the 4K, it got to one part where it started scratching up with the image, and I was like, oh, that's not good. But I can still hear everything, so I'm like, that's fine, I can still watch it, it's all good. But then it gets to the part where Danny Trejo gets caught, and they're like, and this is just before the big heist, and I'm like, and it really started scratching and everything, and the whole thing glitched and froze. I tried it on my other player, and it didn't freeze on the other player, but it just skipped ahead. So I was like, even if it's just that one scene, I don't want to tempt fate and see if it scratches more. So I looked at the disc, there is a scratch on the disc. I can't fix it. The disc is busted. I actually had forgotten about it until I started filming this, so it's not that much of a concern, because I literally just put on the Blu-ray disc, and I'm like, I don't notice that much difference. Like, sure, it doesn't have the HDR10 grading, or just the HDR grading, it doesn't have, and it's obviously not on the 4K disc. But at the same time, it still looks really good on the Blu-ray, so I was kind of content as it was. I'm like, it's already a really dark film. It doesn't really matter that much. Like, they look on par. So, weirdly, I'm putting in a little 4K review here saying the audio is the same. That's the main benefit, because if the audio was different on the 4K disc compared to the Blu-ray, despite it being like the exact same remaster, just one has HDR grading. But yeah, so I still have the old Australian Blu-ray, so... But I like the look of it. I think it works. So, yeah, I had no concerns. Except for the fact that the disc is scratched and it's, like, impossible to find Heat on 4K anymore. So I'm like, I'll just watch the Blu-ray in the future. It doesn't really bother me that much, you know. It sucks. I imported it specifically for that reason. I've had it for like 2 years now, since 2022, and I never watched it until now, because I'd seen the old Australian Blu-ray earlier that year, or in 2020, so I just never rewatched Heat. I should have, if I had have, but I don't think it would have mattered, because I got it on like Zavi, and they wouldn't have like refunded me or anything, so... You win some, you lose some. I can still import the 4K from the US, but it's still like $40, and I'm like, just for one disc, doesn't seem worth it. I'm pretty happy with the version I have, and I still have the special features disc, so I can live. It's fine. Anyway, enough about Heat. I got in some more Blu-ray, so I watched The List of Adrian Messenger, which I gave 3.5 stars. This was part of that Hollywood Gold series one. That was one that, if you've seen one of my This Weekends that includes it, or even my Anatomy of a Blu-ray that's going to come out talking about Shock as a brand, the audio is meant to be 2.0 stereo. They enhanced it to 5.1, and by enhanced I mean they just smudged it out. And it's awful, so I literally had to turn off my whole sound system and just listen to it through the TV with the Dolby Atmos off on the TV so I could hear it coherently. So that sucked, but it was a good film. I enjoyed it, despite the technical issues and the fact that it's clearly a DVD upscale. It was fine, easy peasy, fun watch, 3.5 stars, I enjoyed it. Then I watched on the same night, because I felt really, really tired. I felt like I was coming down with COVID again. I was like, oh no, that's not good. I don't want that. I've got a busy weekend coming up. So I went, had a nap, and I woke up, dinner was ready. I was like, oh, I'm still really tired. And then I had dinner, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm alive. I had a zest for life. I'm like, I want to watch something that just makes me happy. So I watched Love and Monsters. I finally checked out that 4K I got. I didn't mention it in the video because I edited it after watching it, the male video that hasn't come out yet. Oh my god, has it come out yet? I don't know. In a male video I did, I showed that there was like splodges and stuff on the back of the disc, and I was concerned that it was going to have like technical issues whilst watching it, and it didn't. It was perfectly fine. It just, obviously, just the way that the disc looks, but worked smooth, sounded great, looked superb. I love this movie. I still gave it 4 stars. Honestly, I love it. I saw it in 2021 on Netflix, obviously, because it went straight to Netflix, and it's such a fun movie. It would have been great in the cinema, but I still just love watching it. I wish there were more films in this universe, just with this idea of these giant mutant bugs and shit, and the fact that they secretly filmed it in Australia, and by secretly I mean it's very obviously filmed in Australia, but they say it's America. It's very funny. Anyway, good movie. Then, because I felt really, really tricky that weekend, on the 19th, 21st, and 22nd, because I was at my partner's on the 20th, I watched Reanimator, Bride of Reanimator, and Beyond Reanimator. I don't know, my mates had recently rewatched Reanimator, and I'm like, I haven't watched it in years, I haven't logged it. I have the old Blu-ray, like the Arrow Blu-ray for Reanimator, I have the Umbrella Blu-ray for 2-pack for Bride and Beyond. I'll watch them. 5 stars, Reanimator. Perfect movie. Absolutely love it. This is the unrated cut. I've actually ordered the Umbrella version so I can get the integral cut. Whatever. The longer, 20-minute longer version where they added in the R-rated stuff and all the uncut stuff, like everything mishmashed together. Because there's 2 different cuts, the R-rated cut and the unrated cut. So they just... But the R-rated cut has like all this like subplot about the doctor is able to like control people with his brain or some shit. I don't know, but some hypnosis bullshit with his brain. Yeah, so I'm really interested to see what happens there. Apparently, it's still really fun edits, but yeah. So there's that. Bride of Reanimator, I gave 4 stars. It takes a while to get going. But honestly, this back half of it really smashes it out of the park. Like, it all works, it just it feels really messy on its way to where it gets to, which is fair enough, because I watched the making of, and it's like, yeah, they clearly just, like, wrote it in, like, 2 days, and then put it straight in. So, yeah, it's still really fun, though. I love the bride stuff at the end. There's so many great character moments. The opening is insane, the whole war scene. Wonderful stuff. Beyond Reanimator sucks, though. I gave that 2.5 stars. I was really bored the whole time. It was like a bad version of... It was like the pacing of Bride of Reanimator with the story of Reanimator, but like a bad carbon copy. it felt really weak and pointless, and I didn't really enjoy it. Again, I gave it 2.5 stars. It, I mean, sure, I'm happy I've actually watched it now, because I'd already watched the other two a couple of years back. But yeah, just not great. Not a good film. And it's one of those films that even is open-ended, so they could come back for a sequel. And I'm like, they should come back for a sequel. Death of a Reanimator. He comes back. He passes on his legacy. He dies, probably, and then gets brought back to life, because why not? It's Reanimator. It won't happen, but Jeffrey Combs, hit me up if you're out there. I'll write a script for you. Anyway, on the 23rd, I watched The Legend of Ben Hur, which came in the mail that day from the director. I gave it 3.5 stars. It is a long film, which is my issue with it. It is very long. It's still good. It's still well produced. Not all the acting is superb, but it's true to what happened. It's people look exactly like the people did back in the day. So it's like the spot on like elements, like the what is it, style, if you will, works well, because the substance not 100% the most entertaining stuff, but the style works. And I'm also not a huge person I'm not a huge fan of biopics or westerns, so it's like my two least favorite genres, and I still enjoyed the movie, so I still gave it 3.5 stars. I also watched the 90-minute making of, which was really good. You can't log it on Letterboxd, unfortunately, but it was very informative. And then I watched all in one day on the 24th, The Prophecy, which I gave 3 stars, The Prophecy 2, which I gave 3.5 stars, and The Prophecy 3, which for some reason on Letterboxd is called The Ascent. It's just called The Prophecy 3. I gave that 3 stars as well. The Prophecy I thought was okay. There were good moments in it. I liked some of the cast, but I didn't care much for the story, or it was confusingly told. I didn't know what the hell this prophecy thing was. There's a whole bunch of bullshit that it should have been restructured and a different director, because it's the same writer-director, and the same guy who wrote the sequels, but he didn't direct them. And that's what I think works about the sequels, because they have a better focused idea, especially the second one, and the directing's a bit more just, I don't know, the characters seem to be a bit more alive, have a bit more fun. It has a better edit and better attitude. The second one I loved. It had Brittany Murphy in it. I feel like this is one I could rewatch constantly, because it's absolutely hilarious. It's such a fun movie to watch. It does a great stuff with the lore, but also great stuff with the characters. That is the aircon, by the way. Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. The third one I thought was good. I think it's more entertaining than the first one, but it's weaker technically as a story and with its characters. It feels a little more like they've cut the budget a lot and it's like straight to DVD, whereas obviously the second one is also a direct-to-DVD sequel, but I feel like that was intended for theatre. It has the budget of one that's intended for the cinema, but they obviously were just like, we'll just put it on DVD. And they did, and obviously sold well enough that the third one was made a lot lower of a budget. But no, they're good. These are all from the Vinegar Syndrome 4Ks, and they look fantastic, so I definitely recommend them. On the 25th, I watched Moulin Rouge. I gave it 4 stars. This is the Blu-ray I have had for about 6-7 months now or something. My brother's girlfriend wanted to watch it because they're going to see it at the live show, and they were putting it on, and I had a really bad headache because I'd had too much food in that day. It's a colleague's farewell party thing, and he cooked a huge barbecue. But I actually sat there and watched it, and I really enjoyed it. My headache was actually basically gone by the time we actually started it, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's Baz Luhrmann. If you don't like his stuff, you won't like his stuff. But at the same time, my brother's girlfriend, this is like one of her favorite films, but she hates all the rest of his films. So, I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, on the 26th, I did a double feature. I saw The Holdovers, which I gave 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed The Holdovers. I've been waiting for way too long to watch it, and because it finally came out in Australia, at the end of January. What the fuck, it's a goddamn Christmas movie. But I really liked it. I love the style, I love the characters. It takes a bit to warm into it, no pun intended, because it's Christmas and snowy, but I really liked it. I liked the way it was told. I liked the story. I'm surprised it's like 2.5 hours long, but it doesn't feel 2.5 hours, you know? It earns its runtime. It's good. And Paul Giamatti, fantastic. Love the cast. Great cast. Good direction. Good writing. Good stuff. I watched it with May December. which I gave 4 stars, but I didn't care that much for it. I was like, it's a good film. I just don't care. It's like I have a lot of films that are like that, like more artsy or more like, oh, there's a lot of like hidden meanings and stuff that you'll notice. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's a very presumptuous kind of wanky crap. I get it. It's still a well-told film, very well acted. I love the score. I like the directing. There's a lot of good stuff in it. I just it didn't hit me the way it hit, obviously, everyone else, because everyone else is like, oh my god, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just like, it's alright. I mean, I would have given it 3.5 stars, but I'm like, I don't know, I gotta give it its props. Like, it still is good. Like, I can see where it's good. I just can't connect to the whole thing. I think I was expecting a wow factor. Everyone was saying that it's either high camp or the most intense thing you've ever seen, and it's like, it was more of a thriller to me than anything else, but it didn't really, there were comedic moments. I didn't find it campy though, so I will probably eventually rewatch it when it goes onto Netflix in Australia, because we've had advanced screenings in Australia, because it's fucking not even on Netflix in Australia yet. It's meant to go straight to Netflix. Like it did in America at the start of December. But yeah, we'll see what happens if I rewatch it. My mate wants to see it at the Astor, so I might go see it with him to see if I appreciate it more on rewatch. I think I might. I imagine I will, but I don't know. We'll see. On the 27th, I did a triple feature. Oh, actually, technically 4, but I logged one to be on the 28th because we technically started at midnight. I watched Anatomy of a Fall, which I also gave 4 stars. Getting all those Oscar noms in that I care to watch. My mate guy just wanted to watch this with me, so we went out and saw it, and I really liked it. Not one of my favourites of the year, but it's in like my top 10 to 20, so I really liked it. I thought it was good. Superbly acted. I can see why, like, I saw someone tweeting about it after the fact and saying how, like, everyone complaining that Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for an Oscar for Barbie, but then you get the girl who is in this, who I gotta give her some credit, because she is a German actress, Sandra Hüller, or Hüller. She's fucking on fire in this movie. It terrifically acted. That's one of those, like, oh yeah, I can see that getting the Oscar. Like, that's some good acting right there. That next to, like, I mean, she probably won't, because to be fair, Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone, both tremendous performances as well, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens. But it's still a fantastic film. I wouldn't be against rewatching it at some stage. I'm not huge on the courtroom drama stuff. My friend really liked it a lot. It's one of his favourites of last year, so yeah, but I still thought it was good. I really liked it. And then I showed Pearl to my girlfriend, because she still hadn't seen it. I got the Blu-ray in, like, January last year, and because we didn't get it in cinemas until, like, March, April period in Australia of 2023, so I was able to import the American Blu-ray, and I watched that. This was before it was even announced that it was coming to cinemas in Australia, or even Blu-ray in Australia. And it went to Blu-ray, and X didn't get a Blu-ray in Australia. It's ridiculous. That got a cinema screening, and I imported the UK Blu-ray. I need to import the American Blu-ray because, you know, the matching covers and stuff. OCD. So, yeah, I still gave it 4 stars. I still loved it. It's a really fun movie. It takes its time to get going, but then when it does, it's like, oh my god, this shit's great. And Helene was having a ball with it, because she didn't exactly know what to expect. I was like, it's kind of like a slasher and a musical and some other stuff in between, and it drives up there, and she was really shocked when the stuff started happening. My only annoyance is the fact that the Blu-ray shows all of the best moments at the start, like in the title screen. The main menu, it just has a reel of all, like, the best bits. I'm like, why would they ruin the movie? Like, clearly this is for people who have already seen it, because I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see that again. Instead, it's, oh yeah, they've ruined it. I remember being like that when I first saw it. I was like, oh, play. It's still a good movie. And because we were in the mood for it, we watched The Wizard of Oz, because it kind of felt like a great double feature in a way. 5 stars, masterpiece, absolutely love it. I feel like the pacing's runs a little dry by the end of it, but I'm still like, I got to give it the 5 stars. Like, it's probably a 4.5, but I'm happy with the 5 stars. We watched it on a 4K Blu-ray that I got last year, and it looks divine. A beautiful 4K UHD disc. And it had an autoplay function, so it played the Wonderful Wizard of Oz 50 Years of Magic, which is a hour-long doco from 1990, which was really good, actually. I really enjoyed that. It kind of just started playing, and then, like, Helene came in because she was, like, I think, brushing her teeth or some shit, because this was, like, just past midnight, and she comes in, and she's like, oh, what are you watching? I'm like, I don't know, just kind of came on. And then it kind of didn't. The movie went to the main menu, and then after, like, one reel, it just played the special feature. So, either way, really good. I didn't give it a star rating. I don't give star ratings to those kind of things. But, no, it was fun. It was really informative. A fucking hell of a film. The making of is crazy. Then we also watched, because that was on the 28th, Helene wanted to watch a Seth MacFarlane project, and if she said it like that, I would have been like, great, let's watch some Family Guy. But instead she's like, I want to watch Ted. So we watched Ted. I had Binge, I still have Binge, and luckily I'm only paying $2 a month for it, thank fuck. We watched it, and I didn't like it. I saw it when I was a teenager, and I'm like, that's the best time to watch it, when you're a teenager, because especially, I think in general a teenager, but also 2012 teenager, when you don't realize how bad the film is, especially if you're really big on Family Guy. I'm like, this is like one really long, really bad Family Guy episode, and I say really long because it's 107 minutes. Bitch, this shouldn't have even been 90, 80 minutes max. Like, honestly, if the first 45 minutes was just them having, like, the funniest time, because it's like, oh, look, he's a bear, he swears, they get high, they like Flash Gordon, they meet Flash Gordon, and then the second half is Ted gets kidnapped, that could have been really interesting. But instead they're like, nope, here's a whole romance subplot that you won't care about, because in the sequel this character doesn't exist. Hooray! Anyway, I gave it a star and a half. Not a fun watch. That being said, I was talking to my brothers about it the next night, and my brother kept mentioning all these parts, and that sounded really funny. I'm like, those weren't in the film. Are you sure they're not in the TV show? He's like, no, that must be in the second movie. So I watched the second movie, and he actually came in and watched it with me, to the point that we got about 45 minutes in, we stopped it, he went on a run, I watched all of the new episode of True Detective, and then we got back into watching it because it was all on binge, so I just went back and forth between things. I gave it 2.5 stars, but I gave it a like, because despite it being a not-so-great film and still being almost 2 hours long, an hour and 50, holy mother of God, I thought it was really funny. It's just also one of those films that's like, oh, yeah, you know how Americans have bad humor, like the SNL stuff, which they actually have an SNL sketch in this film, and they also like saying words that are basically slurs and also being kind of homophobic and stuff. Yeah, they do a lot of that in this movie. I mentioned at one point to Noah, I was like, you know, it's crazy. They got all these, like, you know, homophobic slurs, and geez, it's so convenient that Seth MacFarlane's gay. And Noah was like, I don't think he is gay. And I'm like, yeah, it's weird. I wonder why there's all these homophobic slurs in this movie. So anyway, it still has some really funny parts. Like, you got a lot of ongoing gags, like the black dick one. You've got the what do you call it? Amanda Seyfried. She's fantastic. The bong she smokes, top choice, and some great slapstick. So, yeah. It just also has, and it doesn't have as many of those, like, cutaway gags like Family Guy has, like the first movie did. That had a lot of those cutaway gags, and it was really disorienting. But watching the second film, they only do that, like, once or twice, and it works. So, yeah. Most of them are, like, what could have been throwaway gags just became just in the middle of the movie. Like, oh, look, it's Liam Neeson. Just because... honestly, the scene that went crazy on, like, I think it was on TikTok or something, from the second film, where Ted's talking to his female African-American colleague she's talking about how a lot of families have babies and whatever, and she mentions a group of people over there, and refers to them as white N-words. and he's like, oh yeah, wait, what? His immediate double take was just flawless. So I'd even seen that a few weeks earlier, but it cracked me the hell up. It's just, some of those gags like that just work for me. But yeah, anyway. And also the part where he gets a guitar thrown at him. That was great. So anyway, I guess I should mention True Detective because we're halfway throughout the season. I'm not liking it so far. I'm 3 episodes deep. I don't care for it. It's like decently shot. I like the actors. Some of the cast is good. The leads are great. The story is just not interesting. It promises this whole like cosmic horror thing, aka like The Thing and whatever, and then they just don't do anything with it. They do it at the start of the first episode, then there's nothing for the whole rest of the episode. Then they do it at the start of the second episode, which is like a grueling thing, and then they just cut the credits and then they don't mention it at all, and then they kind of have a slightly terrifying thing of a polar bear, and I'm just like, it's obviously the very symbolic bullshit, whatever. And in the third episode, you have to wait all the way till the last 3 minutes of the episode to get anything slightly horror related. So I think maybe because we've got enough of the backstory filled in that they might go straight, now we're going into diverting into horror territory. And I'm like, great. You fucking better, because I'm paying $2 a month for this. I'm not going to, if my subscription ends before the show ends, I'm never going to finish it. Simple as that. I'm not paying $15 to finish this goddamn show. It's just boring as hell. So I hope that I'll be able to watch the last 3 episodes without any issues. I still get ads as well in the episodes, but I don't mind. But yeah, just not enjoying it. It's one of those things where I got to the end of the second episode, and I'm like, this looks like a show that should have just been a 2.5 hour long movie. Cut out all the boring bits, focus on the horror and the main 2 characters. Bam, done. But no, it's like, no, it's True Detective. It's like, but it isn't. It's not even done by the same guy. It's done by someone else. It's created. It's a actually created show based on, True Detective. It's not even... It's technically a sequel, because they mention one guy from the first season. But yeah, I just have no interest in it. The next film I watched this month is The Dry. I'm actually watching Force of Nature, The Dry 2. Stupid ass name. I'm watching that on Friday, so hopefully when this comes out, I don't know, but I'm going to see it at the Astor. Eric Bana is going to be there. The director's going to be there. I'm pretty keen. I really liked the film. I gave it 4 stars. I hadn't seen it before, and I think I'd bought the Blu-ray like 2 weeks ago or something. It was 2-3 weeks ago. Or maybe late last year, I don't know. I bought it very recently. I knew the sequel was coming out, but I had no intention to watch it. But I'd heard it was a good film, so I bought it, I watched it, I liked it, supporting Australian cinema, that kind of jazz. And yeah, I would recommend it, very good. The last film I watched was The Fugitive, which I was actually editing this video, and I kind of got bored, so I was like, I want to watch The Fugitive. I bought the 4K a few weeks ago. I've been wanting to watch it so much. So I just put it on, and it was absolutely wonderful. It's been a good number of years, maybe about, 10, 15 years since I've watched it last. Like, I think I was a kid when I watched it last, so I couldn't remember the majority of the plot, but whilst watching it, I'm just like, yeah, this is just Minority Report, but I don't mind, because it's like, there's obviously 10 years of difference between release, not to mention, The Fugitive is based on a TV show, Minority Report is based on a book, which came first, chicken or the egg, doesn't really matter. 4K, splendid, great film, they're both fantastic. I gave The Fugitive 5 stars, absolute masterpiece. I highly recommend checking out, especially the 4K, beautiful stuff. I'm also watching The Shield. I don't know if I've mentioned it before in any previous videos. I'm taking forever to watch it. I'm in season 3 right now. It's good. It's a good show. First season was good. Second season was better. Third season's just off to a good start. So, I don't know. Good stuff. Nothing much else. I know that February I plan to watch a giallo film every single day. Whether I can achieve that or not, I don't know. I might do like with Hooptober, where if I miss a day, I will double up on another day. It's a lot easier because I'm now part-time on my job, so I finish at like 3 o'clock. So it gives me enough time to get home, wash up a bit, and then chuck on a 90-minute long, giallo, and then, before people get home and start being noisy and whatever, because you sometimes want the suspense whilst watching a murder mystery. So that could be really exciting. Yeah, and I also have all those like Giallo Essential sets and stuff. I've got a bunch of Lucio Fulcis and Argentos and whatever, so I'm going to do some rewatches and other stuff. So that'll be a good portion of next month's video. I might do a retrospective kind of look at it. I don't really know, but still. Outside of that, that's basically it. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you. Hopefully, I finish the Michael Mann films as well. I got a lot of Michael Mann still to watch. I don't know. I'll hopefully finish them. Ideally, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, outside of that, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next month. Of course, you can check out down below. There's my Letterboxd and my Serialized, where I'm logging my TV shows and my movies, and my Instagram as well, where I'll occasionally make a story posting about what I'm watching currently, if I'm in the mood to do that really quickly. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next month in the Februaries. Yeah. Or would it be in March? It'll see you in March. Right. That's how this works. Cool, bye.